press release got for you. Not, and it's nice to know somebody's, it's bad enough they're in trouble with you, but just treating God's house. Well, still, it's the seventh, right?
All right, we're going to go ahead and call the City Commission meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, well, good evening and thanks for being here tonight. We'll go ahead and start with roll call.
Benson.
Here.
Brunick.
Here.
Johnson.
Present.
Maibaum.
Present.
Schramm.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Villanueva.
Present.
Mayor Moser.
Here.
City Manager Leon.
Here. Number 2 under routine business is to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of November 28th, 2022. What is your pleasure?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion on the minutes?
Looks like in the opening paragraph, Commissioner Minor's last name is spelled M-I-N-O-R. After we talked about.
So it's just a minor mistake.
It's minor.
Oh, boy. Okay, all right.
If we could take the E from Mead and put it in.
There we go. That's where our extra E went. Yes, got it. Any other corrections, additions, comments on the minutes? Anybody in the public? All those in favor of approving the minutes of November 28th, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. And anybody abstaining? All right, next is the schedule of bills. What is your pleasure?
Move we pay the bills. Second.
We have a motion and a second on paying the bills. Is there any commission comment? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Weber.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Maibaum.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Mayor Moser.
Aye. Number 4 under routine business is the city manager's report, so I'll turn it over to City Manager Leon.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the commission, and public that's present. Got a few things to visit with you about today. First of all, you'll notice that Ross is not here today. He's not feeling well. He had one of his deputies lined up. His deputies aren't feeling well. Everyone's not well. So I said, stay away from all of the rest of us who are and don't want to get ill before Christmas. So if we have any pressing legal issues that you all need to have answered tonight, we can probably call Ross if we need to do that, and I can get an answer. But I thought with the things on the agenda tonight, we could probably handle it without him. So that's where he is today. Also want to visit a little bit about our next meeting. It's going to not be on our regular date. We set that meeting for Thursday, the 22nd of December. That's going to be at noon. It's going to be here. So that will be recorded and all those good things. What we will right now have on the agenda is just schedule of bills. There might be something else on there, but we try not to have too much heavy business. It is a meeting that's open to the public, of course, but we try not to have too much business so we can get you in and out for your lunch break or lunch hour. So we do have a quorum as it stands now, so please keep Jean informed if something changes there. Where's your plans, if your plans have changed for the holiday season. We have a storm of some type coming. We don't know what type or where or when or how, but in preparation for that, Public Works is doing some I guess they're pre-gaming as it comes to the ice storm, and they're taking out ice dams and snow that are in the inlets, so that if we do end up just getting a lot of rain, which it sounds like that could be the case, we're not flooding the streets and creating a lot of ice jams. So that's ongoing, but we are ready to plow again if need be. We did have just 1 or 2 complaints from plowing on, I think it was last Thursday or maybe Wednesday, but very good first plow of the season, so we'll be ready for that. The contractor, for the public's benefit, you know this already, Commission, but the contractor at Westside Park is demobilizing for the winter season. The repairs that need to be done on the pond project are unable to be completed with the weather and ground frozen, so they will be demobilized now until spring. Same with the Labyrinth and the Sundial project. That work will be completed again, picked up in the spring and completed then. I told you this, but I'd like to tell the public this as well, because it's a project that I get a lot of questions on. The Marne Creek repair project along the trail there is going to require a purchase of some wetland units. We're destroying some habitat, and some habitat got destroyed by Mother Nature. So we have to, in order to get our 404 permit, which is a permit that we must have anytime we disrupt any waterway, we must purchase some wetland units from Ducks Unlimited. So we're purchasing these. They're in the amount of about $63,000. We have to do that in order to receive the permit. I have signed our side of the permit, and you had authorized me on September, I believe, 22nd of this year that I could go ahead and sign any documents necessary. That's the $63,000 wetland unit purchase is within the budget. And it is reimbursable under the FEMA grant, so we went ahead and moved forward with that, and I think we're submitting that purchase invoice so that we can make payment there. I'm getting a nod from engineering, so I must have did all right with that. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer that, but I just wanted to explain that and let you know why you wouldn't see that in the bills.
Amy, I'm assuming that money then Ducks Unlimited creates more wetland space?
Yeah, they purchase wetlands, some, wetland space or habitat in other places. Really common in the northern part of the state to have that, and I think they've done it here before as well, but we haven't done that lately. So the ducks will live. And I just wanted to let everyone know that's been on Facebook saying that I'm like an anti-duck, that here we're buying them a new house somewhere. Want to talk a little bit about sales tax that came through today with some interesting numbers. So the 3 pennies combined for the month was up 3.68%. So for the year, as of the end of November, up 8.49%, so almost 8.5%. So that's good news. When we're looking at just the triple B, we see for the month of November a 21.2% increase, pushing that triple B up cumulative for the year 6%, which is also good. I think probably that 21% explains maybe some of the dip that we had last month. Maybe some of the reporting didn't get done, but that's where we want to be, and we want to be even stronger when we close out the year. So that's very good news there. If those weren't emailed out to you yet, commissioners, they will be. Just came across my desk this afternoon. Still having a few issues for the public's benefit with call routing with Blue Peak, who is our provider. We're troubleshooting that with them. We had a call this afternoon discussing that. Even though it's not the emergency line, our business lines and the non-emergency number for the police has been impacted, and there's important business that needs to get done on that line. And so we need to work out those call routing issues. People saying they're calling and it just keeps ringing. When we're not ignoring you, it's a call routing issue with Blue Peak. So they're working with us to try to resolve those issues. If we can't resolve those, we'll just have to change our provider because that just has to work for us. So that will involve a discussion with the county if we get to that point, but we're trying to work those things out here with Blue Peak. I would like to know what questions you have for me. Otherwise, I'll let you move on to your business.
Are there any questions for the city manager? All right, seeing no mics come on, we will move on to the next agenda item, which is a public appearance. Typically, this is the time and the place for those in the public that want to appear in front of the city commission on something not on the agenda. And we will get to that, as we do have a scheduled public appearance tonight from Banner Associates on a bridge inspection report. I believe City Manager Leone in her update said that this is a new process, and something that they're required to do is to come in front of the city commission and give us an update on what they found. So I see somebody moving to the mic. If you wouldn't mind giving us your name, and then I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, my name is Colin Colas, and as you said, I work with Banner Associates out of our Vermilion office. First off, I want to thank you for having me tonight. I do have a short presentation as well, once that gets loaded. Yeah, like I said, thank you for having me tonight. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the bridge inspections for this year. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me if you have a question about anything. As I said, my name is Colin Colas, work with Banner Associates. I have about 5 years of experience in bridge inspections, a few more where I have helped in the summer through the school years, about 10 years ago. With that, I'll kind of give you a rough overview of the bridge inspection program. If you're not aware, a bridge is any structure that has an opening of 20 feet or greater. So that can be anything from your typical bridge to box culvert to pipe culvert, depending on if it meets that criteria. The federal requirement is that bridges be inspected every 2 years minimum. There are a few exceptions for box culverts and things like that. Some are on like a 4-year inspection schedule. You do have special inspections as well, so just something to keep in mind. And as you can see there, the DOT will pay up to 80% of the inspection costs, and then you, the city, will pay that 20% on top of that as well. So why is it important to inspect your bridges? Well, obviously, public safety is the #1 concern. For me as an engineer, it's kind of something we definitely keep in the forefront. And with that, we really try to stay on top with our training and stuff as well. About every 4 years, we do refresher training to make sure we're staying on top of our standards and procedures and stuff as well. And you're probably asking, why am I here tonight? Well, this is a new requirement that they're kind of putting on us to meet with the city commissions or county commissions to kind of go over the bridge inspections. In the past years, we've just met directly with the city engineers. So this is kind of an opportunity for you guys to ask questions if you have any that come up. So in your guys' system, you have 12 total structures that are bridge length. This was the year where all 12 were inspected. You do have one that is on a 4-year cycle. And right now, only one of those bridges has a weight restriction on it, and that is the Cedar Street Bridge. And as you can see, it has a rating right now of single unit 18 tons, combination loading for 30 tons. And with that, there is, for the most part, your bridges are in really good shape. There is one bridge that we did change a little bit this year, and that is the 23rd Street Bridge, which I'll get into a little bit later on. But right here you can see a map of all your structures as well as build dates and types as well. Future bridge needs. So right now there's really not a whole lot going on. You do have the Cedar Street Bridge, which does have a PE grant that is kind of in the process. We're working on kind of the hydraulics and stuff on that bridge right now. And then just ongoing repairs, Nothing real major at this point, but it is something to keep an eye on to make sure we're staying on top of that stuff as the years go on. And then just making sure you're prioritizing your structures on heavily traveled roads. So this structure here is the one that had the most change since the last inspection cycle. This is the 23rd Street Bridge. We did see quite a bit of deterioration on this one since the last cycle. Not enough to warrant a load rating or a load restriction on this bridge at this time, but we are recommending it go to an annual cycle. So this would be inspected again next year, and then we can kind of reassess at that time. But we want to make sure we're monitoring the cracking and kind of the deterioration that you can see in these photos to make sure it's not getting to the point where to require a load posting. This structure here is the 23rd Street Bridge, which, as I mentioned, does have a PE grant on it right now that we're working on. It is also has a weight restriction on it, and that is due to the substructure. So on the photo on the left there, you can see one of the vents, part of the substructure. And on the top portion there, you can see some corrosion happening and some section loss. And that load rating, I believe, has been there since 2018, so it hasn't changed since then. That deterioration hasn't advanced to a level that would warrant further analysis at this time. Cedar Street Bridge, sorry, yep. And this is just another structure, the Kellen Gross box culvert. So dry this year, we're actually able to go through the entire structure. Doesn't happen all the time, especially in these structures where you don't have a whole lot of headroom. So this one, not a whole lot going on. You are seeing some cracking with some efflorescence as well as some rust staining, which you will see over time happen when you get water migrating through the structure. Not to the point right now where it would require any sort of action at this time, but definitely something to monitor in future for sure. And then just some repairs and maintenance comments. These are pretty typical on any bridge. We recommend repair your erosion and scour underneath bridges. There's not a whole lot on your structures at this point in time. There's a few here and there. They're not really to the point where they're affecting the structure majorly at this point in time, but just to stay on top of it, just in case you get another flood like 2019, for instance, just something to be aware of. As well as cleaning and repainting of the steel items. This is kind of a general note that we put on any steel structure, just to kind of prolong the life of those structures. Definitely helps for sure. And then the final one there is removing dirt and debris from expansion joints. And this is something Adam and his staff do a really good job of. Every year they go out and kind of wash the decks of these structures. That just makes sure that those bridges are allowed to move when they're supposed to, and they're not impeded, which could cause cracking or something like that down the road. Here are just a few photos of some structures, some minor defects essentially. Some buildup of some debris and dirt in front of one of the box culverts on the upper right. On the left side there, you can see one of the bridge joints has some of the material displaced a little bit. Then on the bottom left and bottom right, you can see some structures where you can maybe do some painting on some of those steel items and stuff like that. But nothing too concerning there at this point in time. And some preventive maintenance, like I said, Adam does a really good job of washing off the decks every spring. And he does do a really good job also of trying to schedule those seals of cracks and decks. I'm not sure of the time period you have on that, Adam, but I know this year on some of the approaches, I did see they were out there overlaying some of those approaches and stuff like that. So that's something that definitely helps prolong the life of structures for sure. And here's just a few pictures of some of those cracks that you can kind of see on some of the various structures we have. Then one final plug here. I know you guys are pretty involved in the big program in the past, and definitely would recommend, staying on top of that as well, and going after those types of grants and things in the future as well. 23rd Street Bridge might be something in the future that you might want to look at as that starts to deteriorate more, and also the Cedar Street Bridge as well. You are in the process of one of those now as far as the design work for that. The next step would be a big grant for construction down the road. And there was one there at the local federal program. That one's still a little in question on how they're going to distribute that, if I remember correctly. I think the last time they did it, they kind of bunched the state into 3 separate areas. I don't think they're going to do that this time. So it might be an option for funding as well down the road. So I guess with that, I'll close, and if there's any questions you have, feel free.
Does anybody have any questions?
Speaking for Adam or Amy, is the 23rd Street Bridge currently in our capital improvement plan or not?
Yes, the 23rd Street Bridge, we have money budgeted in 2024 to go after a PE big grant. That's preliminary engineering grant. Put it in 2024 to see how the inspection came back, see what 2023 inspection would bring, and move forward from there, so.
Other questions for either Adam or? No? All right. Well, thank you for coming in.
Yep,
and
thank you for having me.
for updating us on that. I will open it up to the public if there's anybody in the public that wants to address the commission tonight on something not on the agenda. Seeing no movement to the microphone, but people leaving. We will move on. There are no items under the consent agenda, so we'll move on to old business. Number 1 is consideration of memorandum 22-238 regarding the request for a special events retail on-sale liquor license for one day, January 21st, 2023, from Riverside Roadhouse, Inc., doing business as Riverside Roadhouse at 44368 309th Street, Mission Hill, at the Meridian venue located at 101 East 3rd Street. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunig,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Mybom,
Aye.
Schramm,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Mayor Moser.
Aye, motion carries. Number 2 under old business is consideration of memorandum 22-242 regarding the Heartland Humane Society update funding. So with that, I would invite Carrie and Dick to come forward. Maybe Dick's not planning on providing moral support. There we go. I'll turn it over to Carrie to give us an update on what's going on at Heartland Humane Society and their updates on construction.
Thank you. We were here earlier this year and talking about the demolition and reconstruction of a shared facility with the city of Yankton and Heartland, and we've done that. You guys wanted me to come back when it was over and kind of give you an update. Construction, as always, took about double the amount of time that was agreed upon. We think we had the first rain of the season actually during construction. So it is done 99% of the way. Dick is in the room. He's finishing some things in the weeks to come. We had some materials that got shipped late that are actually arriving this week. So it's been functional since about November 1st for both the shelter and the city, and is been moderately used since then. I don't have any other updates. I know I shared some pictures that I think the commission got, but I'd gladly answer any questions or pass them on to Dick.
Questions? I think the pictures, though few, look really, really nice. I saw, I believe, in the commission packet, you mentioned a little bit about access and how that's changed for people, so maybe a little bit of update again on that and what's changed, or even Chief, if there's any updates on what the police department's seeing with the changes, because I do believe when you were here last time, it was discussed on the safety and features that would provide the police officers.
We did actually add to that project, and actually have now even a second entryway back into that facility, so you can come from kind of two different directions. Lighting was added onto the outside of the building, as well as security cameras on the outside and on the inside, so those are definitely new additions. We've got a lot more coverage should there be an incident back there. And then I think the concrete was poured and some extra rock and gravel laid as well. So hopefully when the weather does hit this winter, there's a little bit more ground cover and less flooding going on back in that area.
Chief? Just curious if you've heard anything from your officers or your thoughts on the changes made.
I have not heard any complaints, so that's good.
Agree.
Right? Usually that's what happens, is we hear the complaints, not the good news, right?
Yes.
You walked all the way up there just to say that. I love it. You could have yelled it, yeah. Again, anybody from the commission have questions? If not, then I would entertain a motion to complete the payment to the Heartland Humane Society.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to complete the payment to Heartland Humane Society. Is there anybody else on the commission, now that we have a motion? Anything?
I guess my question would be for Al. Do you need the motion to clarify the funding component to this? Because I believe the first round, monies were moved from Triple B, but actually the invoices are being paid out of the general fund. But we made the entirety of the project happen through Triple B funding. And I don't see that mentioned in this agenda item.
All I need is direction to go ahead and pay the second part now, so. And to remind you, it did come strictly out of the BBB. We didn't transfer it over again. It's bookkeeping only. You have the ability to spend it out of the BBB, and that's where you had your supplement too that's coming up a little bit later that you've already pre-approved, so to speak.
Any other commission questions? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Villanueva. Aye. Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries, and thank you to Carrie and Dick for coming tonight and for not only making changes that I know will benefit your facility, but also the safety of our officers, which we always, and our four-legged friends and two-legged friends and things that don't have legs. We won't talk about those, but thank you for all the work you're doing out there. All right, moving on. Number 3 is a second reading and a public hearing of Ordinance 1067, amending Ordinance 1055 for the 2022 Annual Appropriation Ordinance. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Brunick.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Villanueva. Aye. Benson.
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. On to new business. Number 1 is consideration of memorandum 22-221 regarding a bid award for the 2023 annual supply of transport tank wagon petroleum products for Jan Gurney Municipal Airport. 2 bids were received. Low bid was Gerstner Oil, who provided the lowest bid for aviation gas and jet A fuel. What is your pleasure?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Villanueva. Aye. Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Number 2 under new business is consideration of memorandum 22-239 regarding HDR Engineering, Inc., contract for the construction manager at risk or what we've called the CMAR process. And I guess I would ask City Manager Leone, or I can see Kyle moving to the mic, to just walk us through a little bit, because as it was in our commission packet, the total amount looking in this part of the project is over $5.8 million. So I think we might want to just walk through it a little bit.
I'll start out, and then I'll let Kyle give you a little more detail. So what we're asking you to consider tonight is the contract for engineering on the CMAR project with HDR engineers. And you all know we have a long and good history with HDR as our contractor on the water plant and many other projects in our community. They have CMAR experience. They have the right team, we believe, to do this project in the best possible way for us, the best possible outcome for us. Also, included in this contract amount is that on-site individual who will be there every day during the project construction. Todd Merrigan is who we anticipate will be that individual. He was the person that was on site for us at the water plant as well, every day, making sure the quality is there and the control is there, and communicating then with HDR and with our staff on the project. And so really leaves us the ability to focus on the day-to-day operations. Should you approve this tonight, Kyle is still working with our legal consultant, as well as Tegra, our owner's rep, because it's such a long contract. They're still reviewing it. Nothing glaring so far that looks like needs to be tweaked. So there may be some language tweaks in this. However, the hope is to get moving right away as soon as we can, and to be able to get HDR working on this as soon as possible. So that's why we bring it forward tonight, since our next real formal meeting isn't until almost the middle of January. So Kyle, do you want to fill in what I missed there in terms of the elements of HDR's responsibilities under this contract?
Yeah, the only thing I'd really add is, like I said, it's really about clarification right now that we're working with Tegra and our attorney on, is just some of those things that Delaron with HDR and I have talked about. We've got to make the assumptions in the language that it works, and then just Tegra saw some things that would just clarify and make sure we get those responsibilities clarified.
You don't get off the hook. You can go to the other. You go to the other mic.
I gotta go over to the other one.
They just woke up.
I can do that. And then the other thing I was going to mention too is, I did put some numbers on there comparing these numbers to.
It's working. You might as well.
All right, we'll try this again. The other thing I was just going to mention is I did show you some numbers comparing it to the water plant cost. The one thing we did with the services through the water plant is we really had that broke out into the design phase, and we did a separate contract for the construction management. Kind of when you go through CMAR, those two phases kind of blend together a little bit. So that's kind of why it's all combined into one with this contract. So you see a little bit bigger number this time, but if you add up the contracts from the water plant, it's very similar costs. So with that, I'll open up to any questions.
I see in the commission packet, you visited with 3 firms to consider for this. What in the end, I mean, I know our history with HDR, and obviously they did a wonderful job on the water treatment plant, so we have a history there, but was there anything else that went into the decision made?
It really comes down to qualifications, and really HDR's depth of their bench, the amount of experts they can bring to the table. Was probably better than the other ones. The one thing I would mention is just to have only have 3 companies submit qualifications. Engineers are kind of like the contractors right now. Their schedules are filling up fast. I think in a better market, we would have had more firms interested.
Other questions from the commission? If not, I would ask for what your pleasure is on this agenda item.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve HDR as the contract for CMAR. Is there any other commission discussion?
Kyle, I see you had a member of the Sioux Falls engineering team down. Can you talk about what you learned from that experience?
It was a lot about lessons learned. As you know, Sioux Falls has done several CMAR projects. So was Shannon Verhey with the city of Sioux Falls came down. He's a project manager for them. He's overseeing the wastewater treatment facility project right now. I think the biggest thing that really came out of it is it's our project and their project is very, very similar. A lot of the issues they have, we're going to have with maintenance of operation and bypass pumping and keeping the facility running. It's just at a smaller scale maybe than Sioux Falls' project, but really the same difficulties. So there's a lot of lessons learned, a lot of things to look out and watch for as we go through the project. So it was very interesting and well worth the time, and really appreciate the fact that Sioux Falls was willing to come down and spend some time with us. So.
Other questions? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Mybom,
Aye.
Schramm,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunig,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Moser.
Aye, motion carries. Number 3 under new business is consideration of memorandum 22-241 regarding a replacement pickup for the Environmental Services Water Department from the state bid list. This is to replace a 2012 Ford F-250 4x4 for a 2023 Ford F-250 4x4 from Lamb Motors in the amount of $42,972, of which $50,000 was budgeted. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Schramm,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunig,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mybom,
Aye.
Mayor Moser.
Aye, motion carries. Number 4 under new business is consideration of memorandum 22-243 regarding the wastewater EDA project change order number 1 in the amount of $60,574. I see Kyle is still at the mic, so Kyle, if you want to walk us through kind of, I know you explained a little bit in the commission packet, but kind of walk us through what this is for and where we're at.
As you know, we have another current project going on at the wastewater plant. It's our EDA project. Again, this project was kind of interesting because it was funded through the EDA. It was a project, resiliency to natural disasters. So it's kind of a mix of different things within the plant that fit under that EDA grant. Again, overall, the change orders for $60,000. It does bring up kind of a good example. One of the larger parts of this project that are leading to the change order is a wet well that we had to coat. During the project, or during pre-planning for the project, it's in a position there at the wastewater plant that basically there's about 4 different flows coming to that one wet well. So to take that wet well out of service is very difficult. Multiple bypass pumpings and things like that to keep it in operation. So we really couldn't do a good inspection of that wet well going into design. We did the best we could. We actually had divers come in and go into the wet well while it was still in service and scratch around the walls and kind of get an idea of what the conditions were. But once we got it out of service and the contractor got in there and did some power washing and sandblasting, we kind of realized the coating was going to need some additional work. So that was the largest one. That's one of those areas where, you know, when you're working with a CMAR, we might be able to better address those ahead of that situation. Also, one of our larger credits was moving some electrical equipment. I'm sure when you're going through a change order like this, you don't get as much credit as you probably could through a CMAR process, attacking that ahead of time. So those are some of the things that have come up, just, you know, they're typical things you find in a retrofit, so.
Thank you for walking us through that. Unless there's specific questions before you would make a motion, I would ask, what is your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion now with the motion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Weber,
Aye.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunig,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mybom,
Aye.
Schramm,
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Number 5 under new business is consideration of memorandum 22-237, recommending approval of the 2023 mobile home park licenses in the city of Yankton, of which there are 10 parks, 240 spaces, and I do believe in our commission packet it said this was supported by city staff after inspections. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion?
Maybe this would be a question for Dave, I suppose. When it comes to these inspections, it looks like in the packet, it was about 4 days' worth of staff time to, I guess, go through what amount to 240 spaces. I guess not all of them that are occupied. But, so just a quick guesstimate, how much time do you think staff put into this?
Wow, this might work. Yeah, by the time we get done doing the inspections and then following up with mobile home park owners, there's probably a full week's worth of at least one person's time involved in it.
And so with that, if the language still stands, I suppose, for each owner, is it $10 to request the renewal of their license, basically, and then is it still $5 per space?
Yeah, it's a very nominal expense. Yep.
Do you feel that that's maybe something that the commission should reconsider, perhaps in years to come? Again, considering the amount of time that staff does put into what I think is a worthwhile effort on their part.
Yeah, I think that's a greater discussion the commission can have is, are we trying to actually recover expended hours as far as actual expenses associated with that one activity, or is it a service we're providing for housing? That would be a commission discussion, and we would move in the direction that you'd provide on that.
Are you aware of other communities near us, or I guess in the state, that go through the motions on an annual basis like Yankton does with its trailer parks?
Yes, but if you want more detail than just a yes, I would have to come back to you at a later date with some sort of survey analysis or more detail. As far as how many units they have and what do they charge for fees and things like that, we could go through that effort too if directed.
Any other commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Villanueva. Aye. Benson.
Aye.
Brunig.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. All right, now we go into some planning commission agenda items. So number 6 is consideration of memorandum 22-244 regarding resolution 22-62, a conditional use permit for a storage facility located in Airport Acres Addition, Barney Edwards LLC applicant. The address is 3000 Piper Street. These would be for self-storage units, and I guess, Dave, I would ask you before I ask for a motion, or what the pleasure is of the city commission, to ask the outcome of the planning commission.
Yeah, the Planning Commission went through their review process earlier this evening and recommended approval of the proposed permit, and I'd be happy to try and answer more specific questions if you had them.
Does anybody in the commission have more specific questions? If not, I would ask for what's your pleasure.
I'll move that we approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this agenda item. Is there any further discussion from the commission? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunig.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Number 7 under new business is consideration of memorandum 22-245 regarding resolution 22-63, which is located in Yankton County. Craig and Danette Family Protection Trust owner. The address is 1800 West 23rd Street. Dave, can I get an update from the Planning Commission before asking for the City Commission?
The Planning Commission also recommended approval of this proposed plat, which decreases the nonconformity of an existing non-conforming tract.
Nothing confusing about that. Any commission discussion? If not, I would ask for what your pleasure is.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Brunick,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mybom,
Abstain.
Schramm,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Number 8 is consideration of memorandum 22-246 regarding resolution 22-64, a plat of the Cookta Third Edition. This is from Kirby Hofer Construction Company owner. The location is the south side of the 700 through 900 blocks of East 31st Street. Dave, outcome of the Planning Commission.
The Planning Commission recommended approval of the proposed plat.
All right, if there are no further questions from the city commissioners, I would ask for what is your pleasure on this agenda item? So moved. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Johnson,
Aye.
Mybom,
Aye.
Schramm,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunick,
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Number 9 is an annexation in consideration of memorandum 22-248 regarding resolution 22-66, the annexation of Cookta Third Edition. Again, Kirby Hofer Construction Company owner. The location again is the south side of the 700 through 900 blocks of East 31st Street. What is your pleasure? Oh, sorry. Did this go through the Planning Commission? No. Okay. I would ask then what the pleasure is of the commission.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Mybom,
Aye.
Schramm,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunick,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 10 under new business is consideration of memorandum 22-247 regarding resolution 22-65, a plat of School Tract 1 of the Ridgeway North subdivision. Kirby Hofer Construction Company owner. The location is the 600 through 800 blocks of East 31st Street. And this would be in our commission packet, so that's the location, future location of the YSD Early Childhood Development Center. Dave, what was the Planning Commission outcome?
The Planning Commission recommended approval of the proposed plat.
Thank you. Any commission questions for Dave? If not, I would ask for, what's your pleasure? So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Schramm,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunick,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mybom,
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Number 11 under new business is the City Commission acting as the Zoning Board of Adjustment, Memorandum 22-249, establishing January 9th, 2023 as the date for a public hearing to consider a variance from the city's maximum front yard fence height in a residential district. This is in Mayor's Addition. The address is 203 West 25th Street. Travis Aarons and Kelly Aarons are owners. Can I get an introduction? Introduce. Number 12 under new business is consideration of memorandum 22-251 regarding Airport Acres site grading and storm sewer project. The work here has been completed ahead of time, which we don't always get to see in the construction world, and came in under budget. So ahead of time and under budget. So this would be payment to Fimer Construction in the amount of $126,756.75. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Weber,
Aye.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunick,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mybom,
Aye.
Schramm,
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Number 13 under new business is consideration of memorandum 22-252 for the purchase of 4 rifle-rated ballistic shields for the Yankton Police Department patrol Patrol Division from Tag Firearms LLC. Each of these shields are in the amount of $4,101.50 for a total bill of $16,406, of which the Yankton School District has agreed to pay for half the amount of those. So the total amount being requested tonight is $8,203. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Villanueva?
Aye.
Benson?
Aye.
Brunig?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Maibaum?
Aye.
Schramm?
Aye.
Weber?
Aye.
Mayor Mosher?
Aye, motion carries. Love joint partnerships and keeping our officers safe. Hopefully in situations we never have to use them, but enjoy putting the safety there in place. Number 14 is consideration of memorandum 22-254 regarding the revised agreement between the City of Yankton and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO Local 3968, which would be effective January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2025. And before I ask for what the pleasure is of the commission, I'm going to ask City Manager Leon to just kind of walk us through what's in the bargaining agreement change.
Sure, Honorable Mayor, members of the commission and public, this is our civilian union. Our police union, Fraternal Order of Police, has been negotiated already, and you have approved that contract. Changes to this contract language are set for year 2023 to 2025. Wages were not negotiated. Those for 2023 had already been established, and we talked about in this contract that we would have a wage opener only for each additional out year. So we didn't spend much time talking about wages in this contract for that reason. Other changes to the language that might be interesting for you or for folks to know is we made some changes to personal days for both management as well as for supervisors in the employee union. The way our personnel and collective bargaining language sits today, if you're hired December 24th, you have 4 or 3, depending upon the calendar year, personal days, and both sides of the negotiating table felt those should be prorated per the quarter that you're hired. So if you're hired in the first quarter, you receive all 4, second quarter 3, et cetera, et cetera. Seemed to make a lot of sense. Hard to take those personal days as well if they're all in the end of the year. The second sort of major change, this is something to consider when it comes to employee retention, and we thought was a good change, and the bargaining unit agreed, was to change the fact that we currently do not allow you to take any vacation days until you've reached your 6-month probationary period. That makes sense from a standpoint of making sure the employee is dedicated and going to show up and committed to the organization. And if this were 30 or 40 years ago, we would all say, yep, that's how it works. But that's not how it works anymore. Most of the time now, people get hired and they say, oh, by the way, I can start this day, but I have this day, I need to have this day off and that day off because I have this wedding and that family event. And so we felt that it was fair to let people take accrued time before their probationary period is up, unless there's some type of disciplinary problem or some type of performance reason or scheduling reason why it wouldn't work. So we're allowing that as well. We also have some changes to the insurance committee. We wanted to be able to add 3 Fraternal Order of Police members to make that a balanced insurance committee. We've made some changes to reimbursements for boots and safety glasses as well. Nominal really in dollars, but very good for making sure that we keep our employees outfitted with the things they need to maintain safety. It also helps on our work comp claims. Also some changes to language relating to the Family Medical Leave Act, as well as on-the-job injury and compensation for on-the-job injury to match what's been negotiated with the FOP. So some good changes there, I think. Some clarifying language as well about longevity pay, making that more clear and easy to understand. Changes to language associated, for example, with funeral leave. We used to say, you have this many hours for funeral leave. Well, funerals aren't happening the way they used to, and some folks are choosing not to actually do a funeral right away for their family person, but maybe have that later on, or be able to take a funeral leave / now we're calling it bereavement leave, to handle things like estate business and things like that. So we made some changes there to be a little more flexible. It said in your packet that the folks were meeting on Thursday evening to approve the contract. They did approve the contract, but because of weather, they met, I believe, on Friday night. So the AFSCME folks have approved this. It'll go in effect pending your approval and acceptance of the language. So I'm happy to answer questions about the language or the process that you guys might have.
Amy, occasionally the public will ask me, like, why don't we have Martin Luther King Day off? Why don't we have Native American Day off? And I know that issue has come up in past collective bargaining discussions, holidays versus personal days. Employees have told us they prefer the personal days so that they can choose what days they have off.
Yes, no employee, including yours truly, would mind if you wanted to give us lots of personal days and then lots of holidays, federal, otherwise, off. We'll take it. But the reality of it is holidays do cost public entities dollars because we provide services that have to happen. So when we have a holiday, Jason's folks and Julia's folks, and oftentimes our street crews, our water plant waste, they're working. It's maybe a lighter crew, but they're working, and that's holiday pay. The personal days work out very well for us because employees can choose those around, their own family schedule. And oftentimes people don't all choose the same personal day. They might choose their birthday, or they might choose a Friday before, a long summer weekend or something to that nature. So that works out really well. The work still has to be done, but there's other people there to cover. So we think that really works for our organization. Our employees have told us in bargaining, a cold Monday in January isn't probably a time we would really need off. It's not about not being disrespectful to the holiday, whatever it is, but we would just rather work that day and then be able to, choose our day that works with our schedule. And so we're okay with that. That's why we have these bargaining units, is to say, hey, what are you guys interested in? And so that's where we've been operating.
In regards to the 6-month probationary status, if those folks do choose to take vacation days, 3, 4, whatever it might be, is the 6-month probationary end date then extended, or is it just inclusive to?
It's not extended. They have to have that time accrued, so they would have to work, a month or so before they would have much, even a day to accrue that it's been accrued, but it's not extended. We feel like the 6-month period, and that's for police employees, they have a longer probationary period, but for civilian employees should be long enough time for management to deem their commitment, et cetera. So I think the most they could accrue, I'd have to calculate it, if they're starting at the bottom end of the pay scale of the vacation accrual, entry-level vacation accrual would be maybe in 6 months, 3 or 4 days, 4 days. So 40 hours would be the most, and that'd be at the end of that 6 months. So where we think this will go, where I think this will go, is when we hire someone and we say, okay, you have 2 weeks of vacation a year or 3 weeks a year, they'll start telling us the things they already have planned, and we can help them calculate if they can use, personal days or vacation, and how they can make that work with their schedule. And this way, too, they don't have to take leave without pay, which is not beneficial for them.
All right, thank you for walking us through the changes being considered tonight. With that, I would ask, what's the commission pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any other commission questions, discussions tied to this? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunig.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. That ends the section of new business on the agenda. There is no other business in front of the city commission tonight, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss contractual litigation and personnel matters under SDCL 1-25-2.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Anybody abstaining? We are adjourned into executive session. Thanks for coming out tonight, folks. Executive.